For a number of years, I've been working on cooking stoves for developing countries. And the technology called top-lit updraft has been around for a little while. It's becoming known. And this is one of the best versions of what's around, the FAB stove, F-A-B. You'd think it was fabulous, but it stands for forced air base. There is a fan in the base down here, and that will then make this thing going. So I'm going to put pellet fuel into the canister, starter material, and this is just alcohol gel, so it can come out if it comes out right. It's fire. It's just like a gun. There you go. So it takes a blip, it's on, because it's alcohol in there. You can't see the flame even, but it's definitely burning inside there. The fan is connected to a small battery pack and slides in. Turns on the air. This is going to burn for approximately 50 minutes to an hour with that quantity of pellets in there. Later on, in a little while, you'll see the flame get up inside in here. Top lit updraft means that we light the fire at the top, which is contrary to all types of setting up for fires, okay? You light at the top, and the air is coming up from the bottom, the fan is blowing it up through, and it reaches that fire zone from the bottom. That sustains the fire, and it's creating charcoal and driving off volatile gases, which we call wood gas, which are combustible. Those gases will come up, and that's what we will use for doing the cooking of the food. And we end up with the biochar as a byproduct. In this case,
Alright, welcome to the Shire. This is, I'm calling this structure Valhalla. For those of you who watched the Viking show, you might know what I'm talking about. And so this is the reason why I am building those devices to make charcoal. And then I hope somebody has explained why we're doing that, and the fact that we can put all our minerals and vitamins and all that good stuff into that biochar, and then we'll be adding that biochar to our growing media at the rate of about 10%. And as we get into how we're charging that, and of course hopefully we'll be using our quail poop to do that, that'll be a whole different segment. But the charcoal is just the first step of making what I want, which I call biochar. So for those of you that were at QuailCon in years past, you'll know that this used to be a smaller hoop house here, and that these are self-watering trays. So we have a liner in here, this 4-inch pipe. It gets covered over with 4 inches of sand, and then you have 8 to 9 inches of your soil, which is mostly our compost. And then we'll have, I'm seriously considering putting some of our ugle culture in this bed as well. So we have sand and then logs half buried into the sand that would bring I call it Marsilia. I know I mispronounced that, but I don't remember what the correct pronunciation is. So I'm really excited about this biochar movement, and the fact that you can put your nutrient in it after you've got all that working. It's kind of a self-looking ice cream. There's all the enzymes and stuff that gives them a place to live, makes things more bioavailable to the plants, and my whole goal here is to grow the most nutritious vegetables that I can grow. And I can say that I'm making compost, and I use compost tea, And I can say all those groovy things, but I don't know what's in those. I don't know what's in it. I don't know what's in the compost tea. I don't know the dilution. I don't, you know, and if we're using just hay or this or that, or even cow poop, I don't know how much nutrition the grass has. Now, yeah, they have a mineral tub, so I guess that's a plus. But I guess I'm going on the premise that our soil has been raped and depleted of its minerals and such, and it's time to put it back in. And I'm aiming to do that via the charcoal. I got some confirmation on the radio the other day, and the guy said, you know, if you're eating kale or whatever because it has a lot of iron in it, well, if there wasn't iron in the media that it was growing in, it ain't got no iron. So I want to make sure that they have all the nutrients that I can put in it, and that's the reason I'm making biochar.
When we're trying to do pyrolysis, we need to get the heat to attack the biomass. It will turn it into charcoal, driving off the gases. When the log is thick, it takes a long time to get to the middle. You have to get to the center part of the center of it, of each piece into there. You have to go half of the shortest distance that there is. This log isn't particularly large, but it still can be problematic. Larger ones still, such as this one, but we have gone and we used a splitter. We broke this apart, and so this is apart, and also I think this one is not. That's section. Yes, it is. So we have these pieces. This greatly increases the speed at which we can do the pyrolysis. A retort system, there is no oxygen inside. It's called anoxic pyrolysis. The other rock kiln stuff are oxic, meaning there is oxygen present coming rolling in, but the oxygen is limited for getting down into the bottom of the other ones. In this case here, there is no oxygen getting in at all. And the gases that come out are then being burned down below. And that burning then comes up around the side of the fuel cylinder. It's between these two walls, and that heat then comes through the metal into there and turns this into the charcoal. Okay.
I'm Eric. I got into biochar from Dr. T. Ludd, Paul Anderson, several years ago, and he was the one who taught me about T. Ludd stoves, which is a version of that. It's a larger one. It's not really for cooking, so it's not really a stove, but it's a top-lit updraft, which means the flame is on top, you light it on top, and then there's an updraft, that air coming underneath, pushing it up, and that creates a source of oxygen deep inside as the primary combustion layer moves slowly down through this pile of wood pellets. So, and we've got here different temperature sensors going on here. Right now we've got about 1100, 1200 degree flame, and then we've got two other sensors that are measuring the air. The air is coming into the bottom, and this barrel is a bit hot, so that the air rises in this chamber between the inner barrel and the outer barrel, the shell here, and then that preheats the air. So when it goes in there, that means you can have a good hot burn. If you got cold air going in there, it tends to quench that flame front. And then the very top one here, the 45 degrees, is this sensor down here about halfway down the barrel, and it sticks inside into the wood pellets. And those are still cold because it was cold this morning when we put them in. And the flame and the primary combustion hasn't gotten down there. We'll know the the primary combustion is getting close, when this temperature starts rising up significantly, as you get to about 600 degrees. I'll be right. So.
It's been going for an hour. So it's about due. Gentlemen, the first biochar produced today is done by the nice lowly fab stove, okay? So just gonna raise up the connector, pull this out, turn off the fan. That's into there. And that is charcoal in there. Now we want to see this. We don't need to save this. Oh yeah, here. Yeah, we'll put it on top of this. Yeah, right here. You got the sun is okay for it. All right. There you go. It is hotterized pellets, black, carbonized, and we were able to do the task of cooking with it. We're using the heat as well as making the biochar. Most of the devices here, we're throwing away the heat in the process of making the biochar.
So the question is,
What's your name?
Dale Andrietta, Columbus, Ohio.
And how did you get into biochar?
Well, I don't know that I am terribly into biochar. I'm mostly into third world cooking and heating devices. Producing biochars may be a side benefit and of course interesting technology. It would be my dream to come up with a very good cooking method for people that could also produce biochar, but my main emphasis is cooking.
In the process for this making of the biochar, there are actually four, let's call them monetary centers or financial arms that are possible. One is you can make the charcoal, and charcoal has a value that can be produced, it can be sold. Another is the heat that is being created. If you can use that heat, then you have a financial stream coming in. Third one is the abundance of biomass frequently results in excessive biomass. We just got to get rid of it. We'll pay you to take it. We'll pay you to get rid of it, including for the reduction of forest fire risks in forested areas. And the fourth one is the miscellaneous that includes the carbon credits, making chemicals from it, trying to generate electrical power in some ways, different other miscellaneous. To be successful with the biochar, with the pyrolysis thing, really you should have at least two of them functioning well for you. Hard to make it financially viable if it's just the heat, or if it's just the biochar, or just the getting rid of the excessive biomass. Part of the problem associated with pyrolysis and biomass is that there's this overabundance of biomass. What are we going to do with it? And it's generally not a question of how much efficiency you're going to get. You want to just get some, instead of lighting a match to it and burning it all the way to ash, and there's no value at all. We're able to get a reasonable amount of biochar in these types of devices without being overly expensive, without being overly sophisticated. Too many biochar operations, they've got $500,000 pieces of equipment, and they require wood chippers and all the other types of stuff. That's valid, it works for them, that's fine, but for the farmers and things around, generally we have a smaller amount. So we can be putting in like this, and if you turn over here to this side, this is a barrel helmet made out of two 55-gallon drums that are welded together in the middle, and then we put the porthole opening that's in it, and the instructions for this, the stuff on my website, and this one, we can rotate it. This one has a way to secure it here in any position that I want. I can rotate it here, tighten it up. And the advantage is, eventually, when we've made the char and we want to empty it, we just all the way upside down. Oops. Sorry, I got untight there. I've got an obstacle at the other end, but empty out the char. We don't have to go in and shovel it out. This is the rock kiln, ROCC, rotatable covered cavity